joining you again. A few quick facts while we're cycling through. While you're here in the Confrontation building, you are in one of the largest sound stages in the world. We have approximately 66,000 square feet of floor space in the sound stage, along with two of the largest animated figures in the world. Kong stands over 32 feet tall. He has approximately a 54-foot arm span.
Now we get technical, then we'll come in and get the real thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will be able to get a better idea of just exactly how big Kong really is. You can pretty much guess how big he is by the size of his fingernails. Unfortunately, the poor fellow needs a manicure.
Chopper 1 to Harbor unit. Get out of there. He's heading your way. I'll hit him with my thought. Look on that building! He's got a power pole! Get out of there! Everyone hold on! It's gonna be... Kong is retreating towards the bridge. He's heading towards the bridge.
He's broken a steam pipe. Everyone, watch out!
We've got a tram down here. I repeat, there is a tram in imminent danger.
They know we're here. We've got a helicopter escort overhead, and we're going to be all right.
That's a 10-4 base. We've got a full tram here. I repeat, a full tram. Request permission to fire.
Don't fire! We're too close! Do not fire!
No good. The tram is too close. We're going up and over.
Everyone try to remain calm. We've just lost our escort.
Look, we need a medic up here on the bridge.
No matter what happens, keep your hands and arms inside the tram.
Now the base, Kong is going to intercept the tram. Request instructions. Base, Kong is intercepting the tram. Request instructions. He's picking up the tram.
Everyone remain absolutely still. We'll be all right.
Now the base requests permission to fire.
Brace yourselves. He's gonna drop it.
The tram is falling. The tram is falling.
I got it under control, folks. The tram's responding. It was close. Is everyone all right? Good. I'm glad to hear that.
the actual miniature used in the sequence you just saw. It was constructed and then very carefully destructed by Apogee Productions of Hollywood. Now, in just a moment, the doors to your detail, please. Wonderful. Guys, let me tell you what's up here. On this screen to your right is the matte painting. On this screen to your left is the live action camera that's focused on the stairwell. And in the center, we've combined both of those to create the composite shot. Now, you'll be tempted to watch just the live action, but I want you to watch the composite, okay? Everybody say, scene one, take one. Scream when Edgar falls, it's most important. And thank you. Actually, it's a large blue screen. This video camera is going to eliminate the color blue and will substitute another background. But ma'am, you're wearing blue jeans and a blue top. So the camera is going to eliminate your clothes and you'll appear naked. And lights. Camera. Everyone say, scene two, take one. Scene two, take one. Very good job, very good job. Ma'am in front, take one step forward, a little one. And action! Stop! Scream! Scream! Quick one, go! Oh no, you two, go! And cut! The boulders hit them on their heads and they stood there, yes!
Here from Ghirardelli Square, Fisherman's Wharf, Ferry Building, and the Financial District. Embarcadero, next stop. Experiencing a slight earth tremor. It's nothing to be concerned about. However, to ensure that all passengers are allowed to leave the train safely, we ask that you remain in your seats just a few minutes more. Thank you for your cooperation.
All morning long. Go!
Here's a special announcement. Mr.
to get a sense of what it would be like. Get up here and do the shot on the side. Get up here and get by the mouth and look at it. Look it up, and then you get the tap on it. Okay, ready? Look up on it.
Oh, rubber. Yeah.
You got one there? Rubber teeth. Well, you could. Oh, they have a...
That's quite surprised.
You've got a roadblock. Whoa, watch it! Whoa!
Gently. Ouch. Work done.
much, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Phantom of the Opera Horror Makeup Show. How are you doing today? Wow, good to hear. Well, we've got a great show for you today. Really a special treat because our guest makeup artist just happens to be a good friend of mine, Mark James. And you may have heard the name. I'm going to bring him out on stage in just a minute, but before I do, I would just like to let you know that Mark is a very talented artist, but he is a little bit, well, yeah, I think you're going to pick up on it very quickly. Okay, right now, why don't you join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Mark James. Mark James. Sorry, folks, just wait 1 minute. Mark. Surprise. What did I tell you, folks? Mark James. Mark, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Mark, you didn't. Listen. Why?
Why? Well, because I was demonstrating the element of surprise to the audience, right? Yeah. See, the element of surprise is one of the most important effects in horror film.
Right. Okay, yeah, keep up in there, Kim.
Yeah. So, yeah. Hey, you know what? Let's get a close-up of this, too. It should be pretty spectacular. We're just gonna... Oh, yeah. Oh. Whoa. Wow.
Kim is a bleeder.
Yeah, I'll say. Boy, I must have hit an artery. Boy, I hate when that happens.
Mark, that is great. Now,
Yeah.
show the audience how that was done.
No.
Mark, that's why they came here. They want to see how the stuff was done. Look, Mark's got a syringe behind the blade.
What are you gonna do? Give away all our tricks?
Yeah.
All right, see, the blade isn't even real. You know, we could have cut Kim's arm with anything. A banana. Ooh. Or, even this.
Oh, Mark, where did you get this?
Kmart.
Mark, this blade is dull.
Absolutely. Hey, can I emphasize something to the kids in the audience for a second? Safety tip.
Okay, come on back here, Kim, if you would.
See, all the blades that we use in the show have been totally dulled, or they're just made out of plastic. Incoming. Think about it. Oh! See, we never use sharp blades when doing special effects in the movies. Also, the people that do all these tricks are trained professionals, so don't try any of this stuff at home.
That's right. Try it at a friend's house.
Now scream! Ah! That's it.
It's the happiest corpse I've ever seen.
Yeah. Hey, don't stare at it, damn, it's an act of aggression.
No, I'm not staring.
All right, look, try and calm it down. Pet it on the head.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. You can pet it. Wait,
What?
I'm not going to kill him. You pet him. You just get
Go pet
Mark,
it.
you
pet
Mark,
Just... Kim, come on down here. Do me a favor. Just pet him right here on the head. That's it. See, he loves that. He's very, very lonely. That's what he is. Hey, Kim, Dan, I'd like you... Easy there, buddy. I'd like you to meet Larry Taylor, part-time puppeteer, full-time wizard. You're our lab.
Way to go, Larry. Great work.
Our actors, we prefer not to go hacking them up. So what we do is we make a latex mask of the face, like this, or a scar, like that, and we'll use something like that instead. But if we're building a body character for a film, see, then we'll start out with something totally different. Something like Sydney back here.
Ah, Sydney.
Yeah, see, Sydney is a real human skeleton.
Now, it's not real skeleton.
Yeah, it is.
No, what I mean is it's not real human bone.
Dan, this is real. This is real bone. This is a real human skeleton.
Mark, why don't you make it out of plastic or something?
Well, see, we have to use a real one. See, a plastic one would melt when we bake it.
Bake it?
Yeah.
Mark, why do you bake it?
Well, because that's how you do the latex skin. So you bake it right onto the skeleton. Here, let me show you. Because if you do it really well, it should look like this. This is Barbie. Want to give her a little kiss?
No, Mark. I am curious, though, where do you have to go to find a real human skeleton?
Oh, you get it from a place called Carolina Biological.
Carolina Biological.
Yeah.
I guess that sounds better than Bones R Us.
You know, to show you how good a body character can look in a film. We've also got a clip here of one of E.G. Marshall, but I gotta warn you, this starts disgusting and it goes downhill from there. Oh, whoa, Kevin, run that backwards, will you? I love that part.
Just no way. You die, mother.
I love that.
And Mark, that was quite bloody. You got to show them how that was done?
I don't know. You're right. It was pretty bloody. You know, maybe we should do something else.
I thought I want to see a demonstration.
You want to see this? All right. Okay, we'll do it. Can you throw that stuff in the sink? Just grab this out of the refrigerator. Thanks.
Mark, what is this stuff here?
That's glop.
Glot?
No, glop.
Thanks, Mark. Now, I may regret this, but what is glop?
Oh, it's just some stuff that was laying around the kitchen.
Is that your kitchen or a normal person's kitchen?
It was your kitchen. It's shrimp sauce, oatmeal, and red dye.
Whoa, party mix.
Okay, here you go. Hold that for me.
Got it. It's a balloon.
See, and we're just gonna fill it with the glop, just like that. Great, hold it.
And what's this you're adding?
This is smokeless powder.
How much of that do you add?
About that much.
Right.
Well, yeah, see, then what we do is we connect these two wires to a detonator. All right, let me show you how this works. By the way, this is George. We're going to use him for the demonstration here.
Great.
Do me a favor, though, will you? You can be the bad guy. Grab the gun over there, point it at George, and count to 3. And when you say 3, I'm going to hit the detonator and splatto.
Splatto.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, count to 3.
Yep, whenever you're ready.
All right, 1, 2.
Hey, don't shoot me, pal. Please, don't shoot.
Mark, what is that?
Hey, look, I didn't know you felt that way about this.
Come on,
George.
Mark, stop doing that. I'm not going to shoot.
I'm not doing a
Hey,
thing. I'm
please,
just...
look, I got a wife and 3 little heads at home. Hey, this would happen my contract.
All right, maybe we ought to think about this.
What do you think, folks? New York, right? That's it. Could I have a drum roll, please? 1, 2, 3.
Hey, you see that? And I just got a haircut.
Hamilton? Dan, this is Eva. Yeah.
I should have known, Mark. You can take her back.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what 50 years at the bottom of a lake will do to you right there.
50 years.
Yeah.
I guess dry skin wouldn't be a problem, right?
Hey, stand right there. Let me get a quick shot. Come on, where are you
not
going?
me, no.
Yeah, just stand there.
Oh, Mark, I don't
Look,
want
it's from my scrapbook. Nobody's going to see
your
this.
scrapbook.
No big
I don't want to
deal.
be in
Come on,
your
stand
scrapbook.
there.
Mark, why don't you be in it?
It's okay.
Well,
I'll be
you
done
can
in a
Mark,
second.
you
Let me
can
just
get
take... Yeah. We have a lovely photo opportunity here for you.
Perfect.
Stand right
I'll
up
be in
there.
the picture, too, okay? How's that?
Oh, everybody? Oh, yeah, see? Sure, great. Come on, one guys get in a little bit tighter. Dan, that's it. Nice, just like that. Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2. Oh, what's on your shoulder there? Oh, yeah. Thank you for the nice face.
Yeah.
Pressure that
You
one.
crushed my hand there. Hey, let's have another hand.
Next is Robert Short's work on Michael Keaton.
Hey, whoa, I think I found it. Whoa.
There should be something in this world when everyday life is his slot. Of course, you might see something a little bit unusual, like maybe a murder. Something that seemed suspicious. Let's see if we can spot it.
The early bird.
Come on, boys. Hey, come on. Hey, moves like my mother-in-law. Looks like my mother-in-law.
Come on, Roxy, come along. Go for a close-up now. There you go. Kind of like looking in the mirror, isn't it? That's right. There you go. Head arch. We're going for a 3D effect. Watch this, 3D. I'll make them nauseous when they get home.
Chubby bird, great big legs, a long neck, that's an ostrich. And there's a dromedary camel.
That's Nairobi Junction. Trans zebra. Like in a bigger such a zebra, we'll have the same monkey. Zebra the ostrich. Stands out of the train. The smallest animals with a black stripe on their side. That's all Thompson's or Tommy gazelle. They are the smallest of the gazelle family. They rely upon their great speed and keen eyesight for their safety. They can run at speeds of 30 miles per hour for hours on end. When attacked by predators, they shift into overdrive and reach speeds over 45 miles per hour. The two-toed brown animal you see over there. Now look back by the fence on your left-hand side. These real small gazelles you see on your left and right are called gazelles. Right now they're behind the train. To be extinct until we discover in 1967. So whatever, it takes 2 full years to get a thickest color. Okay, do you have any hats on? I recommend taking them off right now because...
your hand. Go like this, put your thumb out. This is my turtle. He lives in a shell. He likes his home very well. He puts his head in to sleep, back out to eat. And now I'll start the story about Grandmother Spider. So this is a little story about how Grandmother Spider stole the sun. A long time ago, on this side of the world, there wasn't any sun.
You can show me your feathers. Eh?
Focused on that side of the road. Get focused now, keep it going.
Hey, folks, want your picture things at now because tonight we're getting ready to jump outside of the boat. Now, these are the only divers that jump off the side of a boat or Navy or salvage divers that's located on the right side of the helmet. Seal. The seal will blow up like a balloon. The buoyancy will become greater than the weight. That brings the diver back up to the surface. On the bottom he walks on a 45-degree angle on his toes and against the current. He does this, you can see a sponge that's hit by different obstacles. The little black line is the man in the balance holding is the lifeline or the signal line. That's all lanes are communication between this boat and a diver approach. He walks out the shallow water, show you how he does it, works out the bottom of the Gulf here. And there he has one with a hook. Diver pulls that sponge loose, and whatever's attached to it, on the place basket. Working commercially, every time the diver puts up the basket, it'll signal the lifeline tender. The lifeline tender will sit down the empty basket in turn will pull up the full one. So in this manner he can work his full time on the bottom without having to come back to the boat. Now the folks have the cameras. If you want to take more pictures, you'll be walk up to the bow. He is 35 years old. He has been diving commercially for sponge in the Gulf for 14 years. Folks, I've enjoyed the trip. We do thank you very much.
And please watch your step as you leave it about everybody. Please stay seated in your seats until we cut.
Million people walk down Walt Disney's image of a typical turn-of-the-century small-town high street. At the end of it, Cinderella's castle reaches for the sky and looks down on the rest of the Magic Kingdom. 100 acres of rides, restaurants and attractions. Enough to spark the imagination and touch the heart of even a grown-up like me. Believe me, it's true. It's straight from the horse's mouth. It's all free once you've bought a Disney World passport. 3 days, and you'll need them. Cost $78 for adults and $63 for under 10s. It's a lot, but you do get a lot for it. Disney World is the world's most popular attraction. It can get very crowded. Make it easy on yourself by avoiding June to September, when it's at its hottest, wettest and busiest. Your best bet is in the autumn. Something new. Disney's gone right over the top this time. Disney dollars. And they're real money. You can spend them in all of the shops here. And that's just what I'm going to do. It might look like Mickey Mouse money, but it's good for a goofy hat. Disabled visitors get a special smile and a practical helping hand here. Disney World is clued up to giving everyone a good time. However, sometimes you queue at the rides for hours, but there's a daily big parade which everyone watches, so that's the time to go for the most popular rides. And another tip, don't follow the Americans to the right-hand lane. Stay British, keep to the left of the queue, and you probably won't have to wait so long. I joined one of those popular rides, the Jungle Cruise.
You'll see the war canoes of a local tribe of pygmies. But I wouldn't worry about the pygmies. I'd worry about this big fat python in the tree right up here. Now, you folks are on the side. Lean in there. Lean in on the side now. Now, this guy is one of the most feared and terrifying creatures in the jungle. As a matter of fact, there is only one creature that he is afraid of. And that's this one right over here. That's his mother-in-law. And let's get those hands and arms in now. We're entering crocodile country. And we had a typing teacher stick her hand out last week. Now she's teaching shorthand. As we take this...
The jokes might be old, but the technology here is 21st century.
And it looks like we stumbled into a pool of bathing Indian elephants here. And on occasions, they have been known to try and squirt the boat as you pass by them. Now, oh, look out, crew. Looks like we got one up in front. Oh, look out. Look at that little squirt in front right there. Lean in there. Watch out. Oh, boy, he just barely got us on the bow there. Oh, look out. We got another one on the right there. And look out, there in the back's coming up again. Watch out there in the back. Watch out. Looks like we got caught in the old elephant squeeze plate.
No, it's not a bird, a plane or Superman, but it's a super show at Disney's futuristic Epcot Centre. If you don't fancy walking there, you can take the monorail for free. Transport is easy if you stay in a Disney World Village hotel, like the luxurious Viscount. Once you've planned your adventures for the day and donned some comfy shoes, a courtesy shuttle bus delivers you to the doors of Disney World. From there, it's a ferry or the monorail to the Magic Kingdom. If it's an audience with Mickey you're after, book a seat at the character breakfast. Mums and dads tuck into an enormous $8 meal, but for the kids, hash browns and donuts suddenly seem to lose their appeal.
Goofy sitting in your chair. You can see him. He almost got stuck.
You don't like pineapple? No? Nice to see you. I'll finish this off for you. Mickey! Mickey! Mickey's marvellous, but it's Goofy I really go for. Here's that big parade. Mickey and all his mates with over 100 singers and dancers in a rousing daily spectacular so extravagant you could only see it in America. I I keep seeing Mickey Mouse everywhere. Why?
Well, actually, Mickey Mouse almost represents America as much as the American flag does. Is almost as if you walk into another world where you're sprinkled with Disney magic called pixie dust and you forget the world of reality. So our role is to keep his dream alive. We here have a team of employees that keep his dream of happiness and cleanliness alive.
Well, it's spotlessly clean, and that pixie dust is working.
Disney World 8 times and to the Magic Kingdom 10 because I visited Disneyland as well.
10 times?
Yes.
Why?
I think it's just a fantastic place. It's a super place for everybody to enjoy and just not the adults. The children love it. And it's just a super place to have a holiday.
I'm not being rude, but I mean, don't you think you're a little old to be at Disney World 10 times? I mean, isn't it really a kid's thing?
No, I think Disney is very much wasted on children. They don't appreciate the superb technology that goes into all the rides.
It seems she's right. Surprisingly, for every child, 4 adults visit Disney World, but I think the kids have fun as well. The Thunder Mountain Railroad was over 10 years in the planning and 2 years and $17 million in the making. The runaway train gives you 3 minutes of the wildest ride in the wilderness. There's so much more here than we can show you, but I can tell you Walt Disney's dream has come true. Disney World is a non-stop show with 23,000 employees making up the cast.
Florida. There's no other place like it anywhere in the world. It's known as the Sunshine State. Yes, sunshine. But Florida is much more than sunshine, as you shall see. The sights and sounds of Florida are never to be forgotten. There's so much to do and see here, it's unbelievable. Ponce de Leon named this land Florida because he saw so many brilliant flowers in bloom. She's a huge state, the 22nd largest in America, nearly 59,000 square miles. Hundreds of miles of beautiful sand beaches border the sea along a coastline longer than any other state except Alaska. Florida measures 447 miles from its northern state border to the southernmost point in Key West. It makes her the #1 state in distance from stem to stern. People come here from all over the world, by the millions. Why do they come? What makes this piece of real estate so special? Sit back, relax, and we'll show you why they come to visit and live in this great state. From the North Florida border all the way to Key West, we'll show you the great attraction of the state of Florida. Visitors receive a great big welcome to this friendly state, which bubbles over with hospitality. Not far from this welcome center at the state border is Tallahassee, the Florida state capital, and also the location of beautiful Wakulla Springs. It is one of the most beautiful, historical, and interesting spots in the entire world. Here is a new awareness that, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. No destructive forces of man have invaded this 4,000 acres of virgin hardwood and pine forest. To the Indians, This was the forest primeval, to the modern traveler, a haven of peace, beauty, rest, and seeing nature at her finest. Wakulla Springs was dedicated in 1967 as a registered natural landmark by the U.S. Department of the Interior because the site possesses exceptional value in illustrating the natural history of the United States. Here, every effort is made to preserve and conserve the animal, bird, and natural life in these United States, established here as a haven, sanctuary, and refuge for the wildlife of America. Wakulla is a Seminole Creek Indian word that has been variously translated as meaning breast of life. Mystery are mysteries of strange waters. Wakulla Springs is the largest and deepest springs in the world. The heart of the springs pours forth more than 600,000 gallons of water each minute. Water so clear from being filtered over lime rock channels that to the eye, its depth is deceiving. The springs were thought to have some mysterious creative powers by the Indians, and some people still believe this. Scuba divers come from all over to explore the depths of the spring. They see many fascinating things, including Henry, the pole-vaulting fish that intrigues and delights visitors with his strange vaulting behavior. It's a secret why Henry does his vaulting, and don't tell anyone we told you, but Henry is tickling himself. Divers can explore the depths of the springs and see ancient relics, including petrified mastodon bones thousands of years old. Upon surfacing, divers can see visitors peering at them through glass-bottom boats. Wild animals are treated so kindly here at Wakulla that they are tamed with ease, like Freedom, the lovable bear. Visitors find virtually the same setting here today that Ponce de Leon found in 1513 when he visited in search of the Fountain of Youth. Not far south of Wakulla Springs, near Ocala, are other springs, one of the most beautiful in the world, Silver Springs. It is Florida's oldest attraction. Millions of people from all over the world have come here to enjoy the world-famous glass-bottom boat rides. The boats glide silently over the crystal-clear waters of 17 magnificent springs. You can explore and enjoy the underwater beauty found here. As wonderful as the springs are, the boat rides are only one of the many treats found here at Silver Springs. You can view the display of a large number of rare classic cars, or you can touch, feed, and walk with the friendly animals of the deer park, or you can stroll and relax in the cool shades of 100 acres of landscape gardens. You can also see the thrilling wildlife from the Jungle Cruise boat on the Fort King Waterway. And if you're brave or don't have good sense, you can touch a friendly boa constrictor at the Reptile Institute and see one of the greatest arrays of reptiles found anywhere. Deadly poisonous rattlesnakes are milked daily of their lethal venom. Silver Springs is a place you'll always remember and want to return to. Moving on to the northeast coast of Florida, we find the oldest city in America, St. Augustine. This horse-drawn carriage is seen passing the oldest house in the United States. Visiting old St. Augustine is like taking a giant step back into early America, America of 1565 to be exact. This city gate was the only entrance to the town of St. Augustine at one time. A drawbridge at the gate was raised each evening and was not lowered until the following morning. Just a stone's throw away from the main gate is the Castillo de San Marco, the fort which fended off would-be conquerors of St. Augustine. Around a century after St. Augustine was founded, Sir Francis Drake, the English corsair, pillaged and burned the town in 1686. The citizens of St. Augustine realized that the old wooden forts would not suffice any longer, and this solid fort was constructed. It took 15 years to complete and is made of a substance known as coquina. The rock-like substance got its name from a Spanish word which means shellfish or cockle. Over the centuries, 4 flags have flown over this fort, and in 1837, a great Indian leader, Osceola, was held captive here. The fort overlooks the Matanzas River, where in 1565, along with some 600 voyagers, the Spanish conquistador Pedro Menendez Avilas sailed in and set foot on these shores and named this place St. Augustine, in honor of the saint whose feast day it was when he sighted shore. This fort is one of the most historical in America and one of the most visited attractions in Florida. About a cannonball shot away from the fort is Flagler College, named for Henry M. Flagler. During the winters of 1883 and 84, Flagler visited St. Augustine and was impressed with the charm, history, and possibilities of the area. He built several huge hotels here, this being the largest. It was formerly the Hotel Ponce de Leon. Another former Flagler hotel, the Alcazar, now houses the Leitner Museum. The museum was established by a wealthy Chicago businessman and now houses an expensive collection of decorative arts. Visitors to St. Augustine always enjoy visiting the outstanding and interesting attractions found here. Soreda Castle, an enchanting palace of the Moors and a must place to visit. The Fountain of Youth. A visit to St. Augustine or Florida would not be complete without a drink from this legendary fountain, as these visitors are seen drinking here. A lifelike figure of St. Augustine, who lived during the 5th century, can be seen at Potter's Wax Museum, along with King Henry VIII and his 6 wives. Among the over 150 figures are many former U.S. presidents and other world figures. People of all ages flock to the highly interesting and fascinating Robert L. Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. It displays a lifelike figure of Robert Ripley, along with over 750 incredible exhibits. Visitors love it, believe it or not. Old St. George Street affords the visitors the opportunity to see life as it was in the past at the Spanish Quarters. An old grist mill and the oldest schoolhouse are among many interesting sights at St. George Street. You can visit the Alligator Farm by crossing over the Matanzas River via the beautiful Bridge of Lions. The farm is one of the oldest and most interesting attractions in Florida. Established in 1893, the farm provides a breathtaking view of not only alligators and crocodiles, but a large variety of reptiles, birds, and animals. Traveling on south down the famous coastal A1A highway, we find the internationally known Marineland, the world's original attraction. Although Marineland has continued to expand since it opened in 1938, famous dolphins continue to be one of the favorite and most popular attractions. You see the educated dolphins perform fascinating maneuvers. They leap over ropes extended across the pool and jump through hoops to the delight of the audience. After the educated dolphin show, you can move to the huge round tank and see the leaping dolphins go high into the air to catch their daily meals. They never seem to tire of showing off. Marineland's other attractions, Sea Dream, the Oceanarium, and the entire beautiful acres entertain visitors in a way only Marineland can do. Venturing on south, the visitor to Florida arrives at the central coastal area of the state. Right here is none other than the Kennedy Space Center, where history is being made. All the new excitement comes alive at Spaceport USA. This is where the dream began. But it's no fantasy, it's real, and you can see it. These rockets repose quietly in a fashion far removed from their days of power and glory. Once, they held millions captive as the TV audience worldwide watched the liftoff of each venture into space. The names you know, Apollo, Pegasus, and Saturn V became household words. Inside Spaceport USA are exhibits, hardware, and artifacts of the entire space program. You can also view the IMAX film, The Dream is Alive, including footage shot by NASA astronauts in space. It is an incredibly thrilling experience. You can place yourself in space as you visually become an astronaut. There is nothing closer to actually being in space than viewing The Dream is Alive. Visitors to Kennedy Space Center have the opportunity to see the gantries made famous during rocket launches into space. At Launch Complex 35, you will remember the day a 363-foot-long Saturn V rocket weighing 2,800 tons was transported to that site. Everything about the Saturn V was huge. The giant engines would generate 160 million horsepower. Not since the explosion of the atomic bomb had man developed such awesome power. As Neil Armstrong said, it was one giant leap for mankind. space exploration has only begun. The best is yet to come. At Kennedy, visitors see firsthand the dream is very much alive. One of the world's most prominent landmarks resides in Central Florida in the Orlando area. Epcot Center, part of the vast Walt Disney complex, which covers thousands of acres in the lush heartland of Florida. Millions of visitors flock to the Epcot attraction yearly, and also to the nearby Walt Disney World. A visit to Florida wouldn't be complete without joining the thousands each day that are entertained by the legendary Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, and all the other delightful world-famous characters created by the cartoon genius, Walt Disney. Thousands stay in the Contemporary Hotel and the other hotels on the Disney properties. In this Fantasyland, visitors enjoy a lifetime experience in a world of make-believe with people from all over the world and realize it's truly a small world after all. Hundreds of motels, hotels, and resorts surround the Disney complex. Nearby, the miracle of life and the thrill of discovery await visitors at SeaWorld of Florida. From the tip top of SeaWorld's 400-foot-high Sky Tower, you can view the lush 135 acres of the world's premier marine life park. In the lagoon below the Sky Tower, you can see the fast-moving, fantastic pirate show.
Ahoy there, mateys! Everybody loves to play pirates. They want to be a plunderer. Everybody loves to sail around the seven seas, searching for treasure, living life at ease. 'Cause everybody loves to play pirates. They're pirates, don't you know? Hey, hey, hey. But the pirates of today, there's treasure to be found. We'll follow the path with ease. Come on, we're going, we'll do a yo-ho and we can flare on a pair of water skis. Come on along and play pirates. Join up and be a plunderer. Come on along with us and sail around the seven seas like Errol Flynn on water skis. Come on and play, throw your cares away. Come along and meet the ski pirates.
To slow the pace somewhat, you can move to the $13 million Penguin Encounter, the largest and most technically advanced exhibit of its kind in the world. More than 200 of man's favorite, formally attired, feathered friends live in an Arctic-created environment. Dozens of sharks and other sea life swim leisurely above as visitors view them from the 120-foot-long People Mover. Over 4,000 tropical fish create rainbows in the world of the Sea Aquarium. SeaWorld provides entertainment for everyone. The fantasy shows are enjoyed by people of all ages. The Captain Kids World is especially liked by the children because they can romp and play all over the 2.5 acre fun-filled playground. At the Whale and Dolphin Stadium, you're privileged to see one of the most spectacular shows in the world, where beluga whales, Pacific white-sided dolphins, and Atlantic bottlenose dolphins join forces for this exciting 30-minute show. The individual talents and unique personalities of each of these species are interwoven in a fast-paced presentation designed to showcase each animal's special abilities. Just as impressive as the Dolphin Show is the Baby Shamu celebration, where killer whale Shamu, Namu, Kandu, and Baby Shamu star in a spectacular music-filled program. The remarkable team effort between man and animal is demonstrated as SeaWorld trainers perform and play with their gigantic friends. visitors will never forget the education they received and entertainment they experienced at SeaWorld. The lifestyle of the king of rock and roll can be seen at the Elvis Presley Museum in Orlando. Showcases loaded with his personal items can be viewed. His number 11 Cobra race car, used in the movie Spirit, is on display. A photo of Elvis and his former wife Priscilla hangs over the bed used in Elvis's bedroom at Graceland, his home in Memphis, Tennessee. This Mercedes 600 limousine was just one of Elvis's expensive cars. Some of the king's jewelry, clothing, and furniture fill this interesting museum. One of the most popular items in the museum is this grand piano, which was used at Graceland. Some say the king lives on. Wet n Wild is pure fun and one of Orlando's places to visit for excitement, recreation, and pleasure. It is the foremost water theme park in the world. 25 acres of family water fun for adults and young people of all ages. Whatever your pleasure, from a pulsating plunge down the fastest, highest slide in the world to the pursuit of a flattering Florida tan, Wet n Wild has it all. Only the brave and foolhardy tackle the most prominent of all Wet n Wild attractions, the 300-foot-long Kamikaze Slide. Its unique design gives riders a thrilling, undulating, straight shot down a watery chute as long as a football field, with big splashes at the bottom. At Boardwalk and Baseball, this Colorado Riders Show is only one of many highly exciting shows. It provides a trip through the historic gold rush days of the 1860s. Along with the shows are 30 thrilling rides reminiscent of the Atlantic City Coney Island era. A giant Ferris wheel provides thrills along with colorfully named rides like the Double O, Swiss Bob, and the scariest of all, the Hurricane, a giant wooden roller coaster. You can even try your hand at batting practice, just like the big leaguers. There's enough here to try the courage of anyone. The Midway features 17 games of skill, from classic skee-ball to the latest in high-tech video games. If you like dancing, you can join in with other visitors and have a ball with the dancers of Boardwalk and Baseball. There is no other attraction in Florida like Boardwalk and Baseball. Cypress Gardens, Florida's showplace, is a huge theme park boasting a legendary botanical garden. From Kodak's Island in the sky, 153 feet up in the air, you can have a breathtaking view of the gardens as well as the surrounding countryside. From this vantage point, you can survey the entire 223 beautiful acres of Lake Louise and the other park attractions, including the 1,200 square foot elevated skating rink. The rink showcases the talents of some of the world's best professional ice skaters. Acres of fragrant, flower-lined pathways provide unlimited photographic opportunities. More than 8,000 varieties of plants from 75 different countries are on display at various times throughout the year. World Cup champion skiers perform spine-tingling aerial acrobatics as they race down a 172-foot high ski jump during the exciting pool show. Daredevil acts like the Man on Fire entertain visitors several times each day. Southern Bells grace the entire gardens year-round. The Animal Forest is a unique animal encounter area where you can see, touch, and feel some of the 800 exotic and endangered birds and animals. One of the largest walk-through aviaries in the southeast houses hundreds of colorful feathered friends. Scarlet ibis, Chilean flamingos, and taco toucans are only a few of the rare birds that roost in live oak trees and scramble for treats from visitors. You can see one of the finest ice shows found anywhere right here in the middle of sunny Florida. Nationally famous water skiers have come to Cypress Gardens since 1943 to thrill audiences and demonstrate skiing at its very best. They don't present water ski shows anywhere like they do here. The shows pit skier against skier in a fast-paced test of showmanship, technique, and skill. Fast-paced competition is the byword. Barefooters go foot to foot, slalom skiers attempt to ski circles around each other, and a brawny male jumper may find himself out-jumped by a female counterpart. The results are never certain. The only thing certain is that you'll see the best water skiing ever presented. Comedy is a big part of the show, and frisky animals provide as many laughs as skiers do thrills. This youngster isn't quite as good as the experts, but soon he'll be skiing like a pro. Seasonal night ski shows are also very popular at the one and only fabulous Cypress Gardens. Beautiful, quiet, peaceful Bach Tower Gardens is set in the midst of property that Edward Bach visualized not only as a refuge for birds and animals, but also for people. The inspiration for this sanctuary came, Edward Bach said, of that stuff of which dreams are made. The tower is 51 feet wide at the base and 37 feet wide at the top. Its height is 205 feet. The voice of Bach Tower is the carillon, a gigantic instrument using 53 toned bronze bells. The bells are played from a keyboard that occupies the upper one-third of the structure. The bells do not swing, but are sounded when the carillonneur strikes wooden keys with his fist and feet. Each key pulls a wire, which in turn activates the clapper of the corresponding bell. The interior of the tower is exquisite. However, it is closed to the public. Bach Tower Gardens now consist of more than 130 acres, of which about one-half is cultivated. Visitors frequently use the words beautiful, peaceful, or heavenly in describing their feelings about this place. More than 100 species of birds have been identified in the gardens. Here, under the protection of the public, as Edward Bach phrased it, the rights of all living things are respected. According to Edward Bach, the purpose of it all is simply to share the influence of beauty, reaching out to visitors through trees, shrubs, flowers, birds, the super architecture of the tower, and the music of the carillon. A restful, quiet, beautiful spot. That this purpose has been fulfilled was attested to by John Burroughs, the poet, who wrote to Edward Bach about his visit to this sanctuary. I came here to find myself. It is so easy to get lost in the world. Leaving the Orlando area and traveling west across the Tampa Bay area, visitors can see miles and miles of orange groves producing the fruit for which Florida is famous. If you look carefully, you can see the Florida state flower, the beautiful orange blossom. Just north of the Tampa Bay area is a paradise all its own, Weeki Wachee, also known as the City of Live Mermaids. The mermaids perform shows which feature underwater acrobatics and dances, the only such show in Florida. Also, you can see the Birds of Prey show, or take a leisure wilderness river cruise that passes exotic birds and animals along the way. Pewaukee is a most pleasant place to visit while in the Tampa Bay area. Right slap dab in the middle of one of the most heavily populated areas in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, is Busch Gardens. Located in Tampa with St. Petersburg and Clearwater close by, it's natural that Busch Gardens is one of the most visited attractions in Florida. Busch Gardens, also known as the Dark Continent, is a fantastic adventure. One of the best ways to see the entire park is to climb aboard the Transvite Railroad. As you ride through the different regions of the Dark Continent, you should keep your camera ready. You'll never again have the opportunity to photograph one of the largest collections of free-roaming animals in the United States. Chug through the Serengeti Plain, which is chock full of birds and animals. The train continues to move around the Congo and Stanleyville region, then through Timbuktu to Nairobi. The train takes you through tunnels as it moves through the Dark Continent. Dark Continent-style architecture can be seen throughout Busch Gardens. Thrilling rides are located throughout the gardens. After the train ride, you can visit the elephant ride and climb aboard an African elephant. Or you can walk inside and pet an animal. There's so much to do. It's hard to decide what to do next, but certainly before you leave, you'll want to visit the giant panda bear and ride the monorail and sky ride. Just leisurely walking through Busch Gardens is lots of fun. To see the panda bear, you must go inside his home. Be real quiet, because he still may be sad since they sent his girlfriend back to Japan. Yeah, he's still sad, but he'll be happy again soon because she's supposed to come back. Busch Gardens is a place you'll want to see and come back to again and again. Moving south to Naples, we arrive at African Safari Park and Caribbean Gardens. Since 1917, people have come to visit this unusual park and gardens. Here you can see animals from nearly every continent in the world. The markings on these baby cougars will soon change, and they will look just like their mother. In addition to the animals, you have the rare opportunity to see and photograph some of the most unusual trees and plants in the world, over 3,000 species in all. This 70-acre park and garden is small enough for you to walk or ride through and to see everything there. You can get nose-to-nose to some of the animals found here. But some of the animals here are so vicious they must be kept behind bars. The Animal Show, staged several times daily, provides lots of laughs and fun for everyone. African Safari Park and Caribbean Gardens is one of the big attractions on the west coast of the Sunshine State. Crossing the state back to the east coast, we come to the royal palms that line the streets of Palm Beach. Palm Beach is more than a beautiful city, it's a great place to live. Signs of wealth abound here. Expensive cars, large houses, and yachts can be seen in great abundance. It's a glamorous place with chic and expensive shops all over the place. Palm Beach has a unique way of life, unlike the metropolitan cities. It is quieter and calmer here, unlike the bustling cities. Some of Florida's most beautiful homes are found here. All are well groomed. Some houses are huge and some are small, but elegant. Palm Beach is so different, it's worthwhile to take a little time and see it. Near West Palm Beach, a huge sign greets visitors to Lion Country Safari. You can get as close to animals here as you'll ever want to, like actually being on an African safari, just like the name says. You ride through the park and stop anytime you want to watch the animals or take pictures. These lions and lionesses look gentle and friendly, but can become ferocious in an instant. You're advised to keep your windows rolled up at all times because sometimes overly friendly animals like this bear will try to climb in the car with you looking for a handout. A lot of the animals, like these buffaloes, don't pay much attention to the visitors. A herd of elephants roam freely and can scare the daylights out of you when they playfully charge towards your car. This baby elephant tries to shoo these zebras out of his territory. The chimps found here may look like some people you know. These giraffes like to beg for food from passing motorists and will place their head and long neck inside your car if you let them. Around every curve, you'll see many different animals. After an exciting drive through the preserve, visitors arrive at the safari camp. It is the entertainment area that affords everyone a world of fun, excitement, and beauty. You can feed and pet animals at the petting village. You can climb aboard the mini rides. Or you can take a scenic tour of Lake Chantilly aboard the Safari Queen. After all this activity, you'll want to take a rest and sit back and watch the many species of birds found here. After your rest, you'll want to move to the other dozens of activities found only at Lion Country Safari. From Lion Country, we head directly south to Miami Country. Needless to say, that Miami and Miami Beach are world famous. People from everywhere have been coming to the greater Miami area since Miami began in 1896. The words Miami and Miami Beach conjure up thoughts of fun, excitement, sunshine, and a most desirable place to visit. It's no wonder it's also known as the Magic City. Beautiful, luxurious hotels and resorts line the beaches as far as the eye can see. Hotels with amenities and accommodations unsurpassed in all the world. Visitors can come to enjoy the tropical, mild climate of the Miami area and to enjoy the fresh, clean air and the clear blue waters rolling in from the Atlantic. There's no greater place in the world for soaking up sunshine and generally having a good time. In addition to beaches, Miami Beach has many parks, fishing piers, playgrounds, and recreation centers. Tropical trees and shrubs line its boulevards. Who would ever believe a group of businessmen wanted to develop this island into a coconut plantation in 1880? Miami Beach would certainly have grown some lovely bunches of coconuts. But some wise people had greater plans for this place other than to grow coconuts. Millions of visitors to this island paradise are grateful. You can play, swim, warm sun and romp up and down the beaches virtually all the year round, since the Miami area temperature varies very little. It averages 78 degrees in the summer and 69 degrees in the winter months. Fishing in the waters off Miami is a popular sport. Only about 1/4 of Miami's residents are native Floridians. People from all over settle here. Can you blame them? Be careful about visiting the greater Miami area. It's so hard to leave when the time comes. One of Greater Miami's fascinating attractions is Miami Seaquarium, the only seaquarium in the world. Here is home for thousands of sea creatures, the incredibly spectacular killer whale, tiny seahorses, living coral, and much, much more. The seaquarium resembles a great living art gallery. Nature is the artist, skilled men supply the frames. The Seaquarium is designated a wildlife sanctuary by both Dade County and Tropical Audubon Society. The exhibits are many and varied. Visitors can spend hours just wandering through the vast areas of the Seaquarium, viewing the sights and taking in all the shows. You can get a bird's eye view of the entire layout by taking a ride on the cable car. Flipper, the educated dolphin, amazes the audience with his maneuvers and super intelligence. Daily feedings of many species of underwater creatures provides unusual opportunities for photographing marine life. The feeding in the Shark Channel gives you a close-up view of the viciousness of feeding sharks. But hold on tightly to the rail so you don't fall into their open jaws. To calm your nerves after the exciting shows, you can enjoy the close-by paradise, Lost Islands. You can walk through this enchanted area and see some surprising sights of nature in the wild. Pelicans talk to each other in an unfriendly way. Somnolent alligators rest their huge bodies while sleeping in the sun. This shark swims leisurely through the channel searching for food. Beautiful flamingos forage for food near the banks of the channel. After leaving Lost Island, you can stop and take in one of the funniest sea lion shows ever seen. When you go to the killer whale show, you don't want to sit too close to the tank. Lolita's 10,000-pound body makes big splashes. The greater Miami area doesn't offer a more enjoyable place than Miami Seaquarium. Everglades National Park is not just a super big swamp, but a dynamic fabric of terrestrial and aquatic plant and animal communities. It's very orderly here. If you have the time and patience to seek it out, you'll find the Everglades one of the most fascinating places not only in Florida, but in all the world. From the main visitor center, you can drive about 38 miles southwest to Flamingo. Here you can enter a 99-mile-long, well-marked inland water route that terminates at Everglades City, northwest of Flamingo. Boats are lifted into the canals over the locks used to control the water levels of the Everglades. The importance and uniqueness of the Everglades ecosystem have been recognized by its designation as an International Biosphere Reserve and a World Heritage Site. The manatee, seen here with her baby, is only one of the many endangered species protected here. Sometimes a vehicle goes in for a dip if an attempt is made to launch a boat too fast, like this Volkswagen bus seen here. Every visitor and resident of Florida should take the time to explore beautiful Everglades National Park. We now leave the Florida mainland and head towards the southernmost city in the United States, Key West. city attracts a large number of visitors each year. Key West has a large number of interesting places to visit. Author Ernest Hemingway lived in this house on Whitehead Street. While he wasn't fishing or entertaining his patrons at Sloppy Joe's, he wrote many of his famous and popular novels here. He left his home here in Key West in 1939, never to return. John James Audubon, who painted American birds in their natural surroundings, was another resident of Key West. He lived in this house while he painted many birds. Flippers Key West is an exciting training ground for dolphins. Playwright Tennessee Williams resided in this house while in Key West. The Municipal Aquarium is a fascinating marine life exhibit in downtown Key West. The naval base at Little White House was the favorite place of former President Harry Truman. Visitors ride the trains for a better view of the city. The southernmost house is the farthest south house in the United States. Key West has beautiful beaches to visit and enjoy. Fascinating examples of Civil War era forts can be explored in and near Key West. Great fishing and seafood dining at its best can be found in the Keys. And here at Mallory Dock, you can view Florida sunsets, some of the most beautiful you'll ever see. No one comes to Key West without spending a few evenings at Mallory Dock. Artisans provide entertainment as everyone awaits the setting of the sun.
A boat for love's a boat for you. Yabba dabba, dabba doo.
That great unicycle ride, give me one big smacker right there.
As the sun sets on the beautiful Key West waters, signaling the end of another Florida sunshiny day, so ends our journey through Florida, just as Highway A1A ends here. It's literally the end of the road. You've seen many of the sights and sounds of this great state. I think you'll agree that Florida is truly one of the greatest states of America. What you've seen of this great state.
London to Miami is a 9-hour flight covering a distance of 4,425 miles at an altitude of 30 to 35,000 feet with an average airspeed of 500 miles per hour. The flight path crosses the Atlantic to Gander, south down the American East Coast, passing New York, when on a clear day the Manhattan skyline is visible, and then on to Miami. It should be noted that visas are currently required by British tourists entering the States. The time difference between London and Miami is 5 hours, so watches should be put back by this amount. Aircraft cabin staff usually remind passengers to do this before landing. As this chart shows, the average Miami temperature during the UK winter hovers around the upper 60s. On the other hand, the highs of June through September, peaking into the early 80s, are not excessively hot for the sun-starved British holidaymaker, who expect only a few days of such temperatures during their own summers at home. As this chart shows, June through September is the wettest period, averaging 8 inches of rain. Combined with the highest temperatures, this makes the humidity high and accounts for the subtropical nature of such places as the Everglades, where abundant wildlife thrives. North Florida is, of course, cooler and consequently less humid. American hotels are generally of a high standard, both in comfort and service. They are often large, multi-storied buildings, such as this one, which has nearly 700 rooms, and in the main are air-conditioned. Travid recommends checking this essential requirement when booking the holiday. The rooms are well appointed, clean, have private bathrooms and colour TV. The US voltage is 110 or 120 volts. Motels were born in the States for the convenience of the long-distance car driver. These also are very well appointed, have bright, clean rooms, shower or bathroom, colour TV, and in some cases offer self-catering facilities.
Bogart and Redford and anyone else
A further innovation for the American travelling public is the introduction of the motorhome. These can be rented, by the way, preferably pre-booked by your local travel agent. The special motorhome parking sites are very much a feature at Florida holiday resorts, and full hookup facilities, mains water, electricity and sanitation are provided, as well as shops and recreation centres. Remember that motorhomes are large, so drive with special care for the first few days. These sites are in pleasant locations, often near to boating or fishing activities. Tent campsites are very popular with younger Americans who love the outdoor life. Generally, room price does not include breakfast. $1.15 will buy you one. There are numerous quick food establishments, some of which are familiar names, where meals are good and a little cheaper than in the United Kingdom. But remember, where tipping for service is expected, allow a minimum of 15%. A double burger, French fries and a Coke will cost about $5 for 2 people. Not all purchases round up to the dollar. Nickels, dimes and quarters can be confusing. Dollar notes are all the same size and colour, so look carefully before spending them. From Travis' experience with American banks, we advise United Kingdom holidaymakers not to take sterling travellers' cheques, but rather those in dollars. Like all large car hire companies, Alamo will meet their customers at the airport and take them by courtesy bus to the hiring depot. This is part of the Alamo service and no charge is made. At the depots, there is a large range of cars for hiring, from the small 4-seater Chevette to the larger Cadillac Saloon or even 6- or 9-seater station wagons. All Alamo cars are air-conditioned, have fitted radios, and as company policy, are replaced every year. Good news for United Kingdom drivers, petrol is half the home price in the United States. When driving in the States, remember, you drive on the right-hand side of the road. 55 miles per hour speed limit. Do allow for collision damage waiver, which is essential. The United Kingdom driving license is valid. Florida is a large peninsula of some 55,000 square miles, separating the Atlantic from the Gulf of Mexico. Miami is on the Atlantic coast and is famous for its beaches. Beaches of pale yellow sand, which have been the locations for countless cinema and television movies depicting the glamour, wealth and sophistication of American life at the top. Christmas to Easter is considered to be the high season for the nationals, and Miami Beach, with its palm trees and temperatures around the 70s, is a popular choice. During this period, prices rise by something like 40%. Some hotels have glamorous floor shows like this one, filmed at the Bal Harbour Sheraton. The Florida Keys is a string of small islands connected by causeways leading to Key West. Here at Key West, the southernmost town of the United States, coconut palms and waterside homes are very much a part of the landscape. The drive down through the Keys is unusual, for the highway consists of bridges, one being 7 miles long. The endearing pelicans, foreign to British eyes in the wild, are seen sunning themselves after a fishy lunch. At Key West, once the home of writer Ernest Hemingway, there is a famous shrimp fishing fleet. It's a long-standing tradition here for people to watch the spectacular sunsets. Mallory Square is the meeting place where street entertainers, such as this fire juggler, act part of the sunset ritual. The Everglades National Park lies to the southwest of Miami. This park covers a land area of more than 2,000 square miles. The first impression one gets is of a barren landscape. But this is soon forgotten as the watery region begins and the mangrove tree roots seem to push their way down into the swamp. Always have the camera ready, for you might catch a glimpse of an alligator basking in the warm water. Or come across the great white egrets. One of the most exciting things about the subtropical Everglades is the great variety of wildlife that lives in this preservation area. A different kind of water transport is the airboat. Driven by a real Seminole Indian, they skim over the sawgrass just as easily as over water, ideal for a tour of the Everglades swamps. Travelling north for approximately 200 miles on the west coast, we come to Clearwater, with its marina and beautiful boats, many of which are available for charter. British tour operators are using Tampa Airport to bring visitors to the Clearwater and St. Petersburg area, as it's only a 2-hour drive to the attractions near Orlando. Here, the Mexican Gulf Coast has beaches of white sands. By the way, ladies, no topless, or as the Americans say, no cut-offs. Orlando is the geographic and tourist center of Florida. Orlando and Kissimmee share the title the entertainment center of the world, for Disney World, Circus World, Sea World, and many others are located between the two. Here, Orlando at night is a blaze of neon light, advertising in glorious Technicolor a variety of night spots, hotels, and restaurants. Together with tourism, the citrus industry is the backbone of Florida State, and orange groves are to be found all over Florida, especially near Orlando. Attractions such as SeaWorld draw visitors from near and far. Shamu, the 4-ton killer whale, and his dolphin friends perform amazing acrobatics with their human trainers. Water skiers enthrall their audiences with a variety of aquatic skills.
Yeah, take a look at those ladies. Now just watch. That's the back there, brother. And y'all run for the impossible. Four-man helicopter. It's work.
The big cats and their fearless trainer at Circus World also give a performance not to be missed. No need to hold your breath. There are many performances each day. Add a few puffs of powder and some grease paint, and very soon you're a little clown. Fun of another kind, if the stomach can stand it. Having paid the admission price, rides on the giant roller coaster are free, as are all the other attractions in the theme parks. The thrill of speeding up, hill and down add to a great day out. This is a useful piece of advice to take at Gatorland. Unless the gators happen to be this size.
They're calling their mama. We better hope she doesn't come. We'll be in trouble.
Whoops. She heard us. Orlando is also the home of Disney World, an absolute must for any tourist. And from autumn '82, the latest Disney attraction will be Epcot, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. Orlando spells entertainment in all possible forms, and Rosie O'Grady's Good Time Emporium is no exception. As the night gets underway, the song and dance routines are performed on the long bar, adding to the casual atmosphere of Rosie's. The Kennedy Space Center lies due east of Orlando, an hour's drive away. As would be expected, the Kennedy Space Center is a feast of space-age technology, absorbing to young and old alike. To both buffs and those less knowledgeable, the cluster of gleaming rocket towers cannot fail to impress, to inspire those who view at first hand a Saturn V, now a reconstructed museum piece, but once a roaring giant on its way to the moon. So this is America, and we've been looking at the warm and friendly state of Florida. Now the climate is ideal for all forms of outdoor activities, from camping and boating in the Everglades to surfing on the many fine beaches, where the young can exploit their energy, competitiveness and sense of fun to the full. Competitive too in the showmanship, with spectacular whale and dolphin attractions at Sea World, or aquatic displays of the ski teams, the daring of the trainer with his tigers at Circus World, and not forgetting the natural beauty of Florida, or the beauty of the Can-Can girls at Rosie O'Grady's. All of this adds up to a good time, and Florida sets out to give the holidaymaker just this. Away for home, the passengers carry with them memories of all of these things.
Beethoven at 7:35 tomorrow evening.
Music for the new year on BBC Two. As part of a season devoted to the music of Bartók, Sir George Solti with Vilmos Shabadi and the London Philharmonic. Simply Mozart, Mitsuko Uchida and Jeffrey Tate explore their relationship with the music of the master.
This concerto is the only one that I write a cadenza exceeding actually the Mozart's piano. Every time I play it, I say, sorry Mozart, but I've got to do it.
Simon Rattle and the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra illustrate 3 programs on the life and works of Hector Berlioz. And Rhythms of the World returns with more contemporary music from around the globe. Music to while away the winter evenings here on 2.
Romantic problems for Del Boy and Rodney on BBC One now, as they both fall for the same girl in Only Fools and Horses. And here on 2, we come to the last in the present series of the Travel Show Guides.
Hello and a Happy New Year. Tonight's travel show guide is to Orlando and the surrounding area of Florida in the United States. Orlando is just over 4,000 miles away, and that means a long journey. On a direct flight, it's about 8 hours. If the plane needs to refuel, it's about 12 hours. And when you get there, it usually takes an hour or so to get through immigration control. Incidentally, whether or not you need a visa depends on the airline you fly with. You must check this beforehand. Orlando is in the central area of Florida and is now the favorite American holiday destination for the British, especially families. The town itself is mainly banks and offices with very few shops. There's not much there for the tourist. The main attraction is nearby Disney World, but since it started in 1971, a host of other smaller theme parks have opened up, giving the Orlando area the greatest concentration of family entertainment anywhere in the world. We'll be looking in detail at the major parks, but first, some basic information about the area. The airport is to the south of Orlando. You'll find most of the hotels used by British tour operators are to the southwest, some miles out of the actual town. And these hotels are quite different from most European holiday hotels.
Accommodation in the Orlando area tends to be typical American low-rise hotel-cum-motel with car parking right outside the rooms. You'll normally have a twin, double-bedded room with TV, video channel and phone. Incidentally, hotels like the Hilton and the Sheraton are not as grand as in Britain. They're usually the same motel-type accommodation and were not designed to be used as all-week basis. Americans tend to use hotels for overnight stop-ops before moving on the next day. Consequently, the pools are usually small and not ideal for day-long lounging or sunbathing.
A few points about hotels. Firstly, you pay for breakfast, so allow $6 to $8 a day for this. And because most Americans go touring and therefore don't unpack everything, you'll often find the wardrobe is just a rail. You'll also find America is not geared up for changing British money. There are very few exchange counters, even in banks. Our advice is to take dollar traveller's checks. You can use these in shops and restaurants just like money. Also, Visa and Access are accepted virtually everywhere. Now, the theme parks, and we'll be looking in detail at the 6 most popular. After each one, we'll give the prices and any tips we think are worth passing on. The biggest, of course, is Walt Disney World. It's divided into 2 main attractions, Epcot and Magic Kingdom. Most holidaymakers visit both, and we'll start with Magic Kingdom.
If you're going to Disney World by car, parking will cost $3 a day. If you go on the buses, which run from most hotels, it costs around $6 return for adults, depending upon where your hotel is situated. These run at regular intervals throughout the day. The car parks are some way from Magic Kingdom, so trains are laid on to ship people to the pay stations. Here you can buy your entrance ticket or pass, after which everything is free. It's then another 5-minute journey by either monorail or ferry boat into the Magic Kingdom itself. The first thing you see is Mickey's birthday train, which will drop you at various stops in the park. As you enter Magic Kingdom, don't forget to look at the sign, which is small and easy to miss, listing when and where today's main attractions are, including opportunities to meet the Disney stars. They call these character greeting sessions.
Hi, Chip.
Once inside, you can hire pushchairs, called strollers, as well as wheelchairs. A stroller costs $3 a day, but don't forget to fill in your name tag, as they are all identical and there are rows parked outside some attractions. The first area of the park is Main Street, USA. This is a street in period style full of souvenir shops. Many people are tempted to buy there and then. Don't. They will all be there later on. In Disney World, the souvenirs do not run out. If, however, you do buy something, you needn't carry it around. You can pick it up later from the parcel collection point near the exit. There are various forms of transport down Main Street, from horse-drawn carriages to trams, but they stop at the end of the street, so don't think you're in for a trip round the entire park. Most people work clockwise round Magic Kingdom, starting at Adventureland, a tropical jungle area. Here you'll find the Jungle Cruise, a very popular ride, though expect long queues. And Pirates of the Caribbean, an indoor ride well worth seeing.
We burn up the city, we're really a fright. Drink up, be hearty, yo-ho!
Frontierland is the next themed area. This is the Wild West. All the shops and cafes reflect the world of the cowboys. There's also the Thunder Mountain Railroad, a fairly mild roller coaster, despite warnings to the contrary. Fantasyland is the favourite with children, and because of this, the queues are often the longest in the park. However, you'll find that all the rides here are suitable for young children. Tomorrowland is the 4th major area. It's largely exhibitions, but there's also a range of rides, from small ones like the Skyrockets to the big Space Mountain, a thrilling roller coaster ride in the dark, definitely not suitable for small children. A recent addition is Mickey's Birthday Land, aimed especially at very young children. Originally intended just to celebrate Mickey's 60th birthday, it's proved so popular that they're keeping it open indefinitely. Here you can visit Mickey's house. There are slides and a playground, even a Mickey Mouse maze.
All Disney attractions are included in one set of entrance fees, which I'll give you later. Given the heat in Florida, you may be tempted to buy fizzy drinks. It's often so humid that minutes later you'll be thirsty again. Our tip is to use the cold water drinking fountains. They're free. The other major Disney park is Epcot, just to the south.
Epcot has 2 main areas. Future World is the first. This consists of 7 huge pavilions sponsored by large American companies. There is Kodak's Journey into Imagination, Kraft's view of the Land of Tomorrow, and The Living Seas is a look at life under the sea. You see all these exhibitions on continuously moving cars, which cuts down on queuing time. The second section of Epcot is called World Showcase, a collection of different countries built around a central lake area. You can take an open-air bus around the lake at no extra charge, but they are infrequent and often crowded, and generally it's quicker to walk. Each country is represented by replicas of famous monuments or typical architecture and has a selection of eating places selling traditional food. There are also shops selling the local products of that country. Again, if you buy anything in Epcot, you can arrange to collect it later at the parcel collection point instead of carrying it around. Each country also has exhibitions or an adventure ride. The newest country, Norway, has the Maelstrom, a very good Viking longship ride. The country most popular with the British is, not surprisingly, the United Kingdom, with Jacobean, Elizabethan and Georgian houses all next door to each other. There was even typically authentic weather when we filmed there. The Rose and Crown pub is an extremely popular watering hole with the Brits. It sells lager, Whitbread bitter and Guinness. The Disney booklet says that the beer is not quite authentic as it's cold and the British like it warm. The shops are not that typical either, selling mainly china goods and Pringle jumpers and kilts at very expensive prices.
In Epcot, most visitors start in Future World in the morning and then go on to World Showcase in the afternoon. Our tip is to do the exact opposite and miss the queues. You'll find the shortest queues in Disney World generally on Sundays, Thursdays and Fridays. January, May and the autumn months are the quietest. Handicap visitors are well catered for and there's a booklet available on entry showing which areas are most suitable. Later this year, Disney are planning some new attractions. The largest one will be the Disney MGM Studio Tour, opening in the spring. The tour will start in a main street that recreates old Hollywood. There will also be TV studio recordings to see, the costume department, and actual rehearsals of future productions. Typhoon Lagoon, also opening in the spring, will, it's claimed, be the largest water park in the world, with a 95-foot-high mountain as its centrepiece. Now, what does it cost to go to the Disney parks? Well, a 4-day pass is $96 per person. Children under 10 are $77. Under 3, they're free, and that pass includes everything except the new Typhoon Lagoon. For a family of 2 adults and 2 children under 10, that works out at $346. The next park is SeaWorld, just outside Orlando.
SeaWorld is the second most popular theme park in the Orlando area. As well as indoor and outdoor attractions, there are also regular shows, timed so that you can see them all in one day. SeaWorld is well signposted and has good facilities for the disabled, including wheelchair rental and special places for wheelchairs and guests at all the shows. The most famous of which is the Shamu Show, featuring killer whales. You can also rent at $3.50 a day dolphin strollers to ferry children around. One of the newest indoor attractions is the Penguin Encounter. A realistic backdrop of icy rocks with manufactured snow provides a home for many different species of penguins and other polar seabirds. A moving walkway carries visitors past the birds, although it's sometimes hard to decide who's watching who. There is also an exhibition of information about penguins. In fact, most SeaWorld attractions also have an educational theme. You can even go on a behind-the-scenes tour to see how marine animals and fish are cared for. The Sea Lion and Otter show is pure entertainment, though, and very popular with most British holidaymakers. This is always packed, so make sure you get there early. You can make closer contact with the marine life in one of the so-called petting areas. And at meal times, you can do the feeding. A handful of fish costs $1.50.
Our tip for SeaWorld is to hang on to the park map with the times of the shows in it. They change daily. And the cost. A day in SeaWorld is $23.95 for adults, $19.95 for children under 12. To the southwest is Cypress Gardens.
Cypress Gardens is one of the oldest attractions in Florida. It was opened in 1936, and then the main feature was the beautiful garden with hundreds of different plants and shrubs from all over the world, including a spectacular banyan tree. The Southern Belles, who wander around the park in period costumes, are there purely as an incentive for tourists to take photos. The best time to go for the flowers is in the spring, but they try to arrange it so there's something blooming the whole year round. You can tour through the gardens in a boat at no extra charge. The other traditional attraction in Cyprus Gardens is the water ski show. Performances take place at regular intervals during the day and feature several different displays, including the four-tier human pyramid, which they claim is the only one performed in the world. The Animal Forest section is a collection of over 800 endangered species in landscaped areas, including sections called Critter Encounters and Hug Haven, where children and adults can pet the animals. There's also a fly-free aviary, which you can walk through, surrounded by all sorts of exotic birds. A must for model railway enthusiasts is a large exhibition called Whistle Stop USA. It features trains in 4 different seasons right across America. Ever aware of photo opportunities, you can have an overview of the park in their Island in the Sky. This, however, only operates when the weather is good.
A day in Cyprus Gardens costs $16.95 for adults and $11.50 for children under 12. To the west is Bush Gardens near Tampa.
Bush Gardens is roughly based on an African theme. The entrance is Moroccan, with several gift shops selling North African crafts and various wandering belly dancers and snake charmers. There are many different attractions within the park. The biggest is a wildlife area called Serengeti Plain. Here are over 500 head of African big game, kept in a landscaped park. You can either wander around the outskirts or take a monorail or train right across the plain. Feeding times are well publicised and are a good chance to see the animals close too. Another feature is the animal nursery, where they look after very young animals that have been born in the garden. Young children love this. There is also a section for thrill rides with appropriately sounding names like the Scorpion, a terrifying roller coaster that's not for the faint-hearted. The Congo River is a bumpy and wet ride in a circular raft over some whitewater rapids. And there's a good choice of other rides as well. If you are into white-knuckle thrills, you'll find Bush Gardens does not disappoint. The entrance fee includes free access to the entire park, the rides and the many special shows on offer.
Bush Gardens costs $18.95 each for both adults and children. Parking is another $2. Our tip is to check the weather forecast before you go. In bad weather, many rides close, but the entrance fee remains the same. Across on the Atlantic coast is Spaceport USA, part of the Cape Canaveral Space Complex.
The Kennedy Center's Spaceport USA is instantly recognizable from the rows of rockets and landing modules in the rocket garden. Visitors can peer inside, see astronaut models, and play the same manual dexterity games as astronauts in space. You can even have your picture taken with a man in a real spacesuit who wanders around the various attractions.
Admission to the spaceport is free, but a bus tour around the site costs $4 for adults, $1.75 for children. You can also see a simulated shuttle launch on a giant screen for, again, $4 for adults, $1.75 for children. Our tip is to think in advance about going to the loo. There are very often long queues there. Incidentally, there are regular space launches from Cape Canaveral, which members of the public can view. You'll find details in the local press and television. Well, that's our view of some of the parks. There are, by the way, another 23 attractions in the Orlando area. If you go in summer, most parks are open 4 hours longer than winter, but the queues are greater. And now, the weather. And with me, as usual, is John Ketley. John, is there much difference there between summer and winter?
Well, it's always warm, of course, Penny. It's a near-tropical climate. It's 25 degrees north, that's all. So it can genuinely be called an all-year resort area. Sunshine, actually, is very interesting, about the same sunshine total for the year as Crete, but it's more of an even distribution than you would get anywhere in the Mediterranean. Looking at the totals then, about 6 or 7 hours in average during the winter months, but that represents a very high percentage of the total daylight available. The sunniest month really is May, 10 or 11 hours of sunshine then. Then with the build-up of cloud during those long summer months, you do tend to find the average sunshine begins to tail off. Now the temperature's also very high indeed, about 21 degrees Celsius in the wintertime, that's 70 degrees Fahrenheit, peaking throughout much of the summer at about 31 degrees, 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course in America, Fahrenheit is the term used. They don't think much of Celsius at all. Indeed, many people in Britain don't think all that much of Celsius either. At night time, it can be a little bit chilly in the winter time. You can get a touch of frost even down in the south of Florida, but typically 10 or 11 degrees. In the summer, though, as high as 23 degrees as a minimum temperature. But of course, many of the buildings have got air conditioning, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, rainfall is very interesting because you get the peak of rainfall during the summer months. But of course, it's just usually a short, sharp shower in the afternoon. You can almost set your watch by it, say 2 or 3 o'clock. But that's when you get most of the rainfall. But it's not very good for people who've got a phobia about thunderstorms because Florida is actually the most thundery state in the USA.
John, we mentioned humidity. Which are the worst months?
Well, again, it really is the summer months because the hotter it is, the more humid, the more sticky it's going to feel. Really, it's June to October when it's going to feel particularly oppressive. And at night, of course, unless you're in the air conditioning areas, then it is going to feel a little bit unpleasant, I fancy.
And what time does it go dark?
Well, it's much further south, of course, as I've mentioned already. So it goes dark about 6 o'clock in the wintertime, 8:30 in the summertime. So not a great variation compared with the British Isles.
And are there any weather oddities?
Well, the main problem really, Penny, is the tropical storm. They become hurricanes as they're upgraded. The Americans give them names, and they're alternate male and female. This past year, for instance, Alberto, Beryl, Chris, Debbie, not a Matthew, not a Penny in sight. But Gilbert was a really sinister one, which affected much of the area in the Caribbean, anyway, around about September time. They all follow roughly the same track, though. They go west-northwestwards through the Caribbean, affecting Cuba in particular, but once or twice a year they might just get through into Florida.
Thank you very much, John. Incidentally, you may have noticed in the film that when it was raining, everybody was wearing identical rain ponchos. They're only on sale when the weather is bad, and they cost $1.50. They pack away quite neatly, and you can use them again. Medical facilities in America are excellent but expensive. Make sure that you take out a private medical insurance that provides adequate cover. Now, getting around, you'll find America is designed for car drivers. Little thought or care is given to pedestrians. There are occasionally pedestrian crossings at major junctions, but you'll find the time allowed to cross is very brief. Public transport is limited, though there are often special buses from the hotels directly to the parks. However, you may decide to hire a car or even be on a fly-drive holiday.
Do you have a reservation?
When you collect your car, you'll need to show your driving licence. An international one is not necessary. You'll also need a credit card as surety. If you haven't got one, you'll have problems. You might well have to pay in advance the full hire cost in cash. Seatbelts are compulsory, and as most hire cars are automatic, it's well worth driving round the car park once or twice to get the feel. Incidentally, if you're driving straight from the airport, it's a good idea to have some US coins ready, in case you come across a toll road barrier. Americans drive on the right, and there is a maximum speed limit of 55 miles per hour, which is strictly enforced. On-the-spot fines are $4 for each mile per hour you're above the limit. However, on the freeway, there's a minimum speed limit of 40. Exit signs, by the way, are usually just after the slip road and easy to miss. If the sky clouds over and it rains enough for you to use your windscreen wipers, you must also use dipped headlights, or again risk a fine. In American petrol or gas stations, you pay before you fill up. If you don't know how much you want, leave about $20 with the assistant and pick up any change after you've filled up. 3/4 of all petrol in the US is unleaded. Incidentally, regular is the equivalent of 2-star, premium is like 4-star. Most cars run on regular. Petrol is extremely cheap, about 60 pence for an American gallon, which is slightly smaller than an imperial gallon. We found the cheapest petrol in 7-Elevens. They also have shops and even sell beer, but don't drink it on the forecourt.
Hire cars are often cheaper booked in this country, but you will need additional insurance. It's well worth taking out a top-up policy to cover you for any big third-party claims if you're unfortunate enough to have an accident. Now, what's the shopping like? Most people use shopping malls, where the parking is always easy.
We found the Florida Mile on South Orange Blossom Trail to be the best one in the area. This, like most miles, is air-conditioned, roomy and rarely packed, so shopping is a pleasant experience. There are all the big-name department stores here, as well as an excellent selection of well-known and lesser-known shops. You can hire wheelchairs and strollers from the information desk. You'll find the price on the item, though, is not the final price you'll pay. There's an extra 6% Florida sales tax on everything. In most large malls, there's an excellent choice of eating places, and all the main nationalities will be represented within one large area. Typically, you can get Indian, Chinese, Mexican and Italian, so the whole family can choose different things and meet up in the middle. There is usually a health food stand. And for a drink, there's freshly squeezed Florida orange, and you'll find the delis sell sandwiches, cakes and beer. The legal drinking age in Florida is 21. If you look young, you'll need some identification like your passport to prove your age. The law is strictly enforced. On a meal, you'll again be charged the 6% sales tax, and you are expected to give a 15% tip on top of this, so be prepared for a considerable addition to your final bill. Service is usually very attentive, sometimes a little over-attentive. But at the end of your meal, if you have coffee, you can expect endless refills at no extra charge. You'll find that eating out in Florida is quite cheap, and the variety of good value eating places is truly astounding. All the well-known fast food chains are available, plus a few not as familiar.
A Big Mac and chips is $2.15. Kentucky Fried Chicken and chips, $2.90. And a pizza for two, $6 to $8. A medium-sized Coke is 75 cents. And all these prices include tax. Many British tourists expect Orlando to be like Spain in the evenings, where you can promenade or bar hop. No one wanders around the streets of Orlando at night. Entertainment in the motels is limited, but you can drive to the Church Street Station Complex in downtown Orlando, where the famous Rosie O'Grady's Good Time Emporium is to be found. There's a twice-nightly show featuring singers and dancers who actually dance on the bar. There's also a shopping mall to explore with elaborate decor. Now, what's Central Florida like for the independent traveller? Well, we sent Matthew Collins to find out. Matthew, how did you get on?
Well, I found that as an independent traveller, the first thing you encounter is fairly close scrutiny from the immigration officials when you arrive at the airport. I mean, if you don't have anywhere, say, specifically booked up to stay, they will make sure that you've got enough money to cover you for hotels. Say you're going to be there for 2 weeks, they'll make sure you've got enough money to finance yourself for that time. Or if you say you're going to stay with a friend, like some people in front of me did, they will actually sometimes take you away into their office and telephone your friends, just to make sure that you have got genuine friends you can go and stay with. They're actually looking on the lookout for people who want to work, you know, illegally over there. And the second thing I found as an independent traveller at the airport was the fact that public transport really wasn't very highly reckoned in America. I mean, some people sort of really sneered when I said I was looking for buses into the town. And then there are some, but the bus I eventually found took me to Cocoa Beach, which had been specially laid on for a busload of pensioners who were returning from a holiday in Egypt. But that was actually rather good, because I came in contact with all these Americans immediately, and all these old biddies actually gave me their telephone numbers and told me to come and eat with them if I got stuck. And they are very, very friendly, the Americans. That's one good thing, especially if you're English. It's brilliant. And it sounds awful, but as an independent traveller, you can actually exploit your English accent and the friendliness of the Americans.
Where did you stay?
I stayed in various cheap hotels. One hotel I stayed in was in Cocoa Beach, and it was called Motel 6. And it was actually very cheap. It was about $22 per night for one person. But I found that as a single independent traveller, I was actually being penalised, because had there been 2 or 3 or 4 of us, we all could have stayed only for $6 more per person per night. So you're actually, you know, you're actually spending more than is necessary if you travel on your own. The great thing I loved about Cocoa Beach was that because it's on the Atlantic coast, the waves are very big. So it's one of the best spots in the world for surfing. And in Cocoa Beach, it has the largest surf shop in the world called Ron John's Surf Shop. And that was great because it has all these marvellous surfing T-shirts and pairs of Levi jeans. And having arrived in some sort of very inappropriate, heavy British winter clothes, I was able to go into this surf shop and immediately turn myself into an all-American boy. And some of the Levi's I bought were only sort of £8 a pair. Incredibly good value.
Was eating out expensive?
Eating out could be incredibly cheap. I mean, one place that I actually gorged myself in frequently were the eat as much as you like buffets for only $1.99. And there you could just go in these places and stuff your face stupid. And one thing I found that was really funny was that at the cash desk, when you went to pay, they sold sort of chewing gum and stuff, but they also sold a huge array of indigestion tablets. And of course, there were all these other ways as well of eating cheaply. I mean, a local newspaper, this is the Daytona Penny Saver, was a very good source of cheap meals, because in it you can find all the adverts for, say, early bird specials, which means that you can get half-price food if you eat before 6 o'clock in the evening. Or you get all these sort of money-off coupons. Take this coupon along and get sort of 10 pizzas for the price of 5, and that kind of stuff, and get really good offers there. Incidentally, if you wanted your teeth done there, I also noticed there was an offer for a $29 free X-ray and checkup if you took that coupon along as well.
Any tips for your mother?
Well, in America, it's worth getting off the aeroplane as soon as you arrive, as fast as possible, because if you don't, you'll get caught in a very long immigration queue, and that can be very boring. Secondly, be very careful not to muddle up your dollar bills, because they're all the same size and all the same colour. So, for example, lots of Brits, I was told, keep leaving $10 bills instead of $1 bills as tips. So watch out for that. And thirdly, do not overeat, because the portions can be enormous, and it's very easy to put on an enormous amount of weight in America.
Thank you, Matthew. And now our airport checklist for Orlando. It's a large airport with plenty of check-in desks, but we found no trolleys. Eating facilities are very good. Wheelchairs are available for the disabled, and there are baby-changing facilities. The duty-free shop has a poor selection and is not especially cheap. Incidentally, you pay at the shop and your duty-free goods are delivered to you when you board the plane. They will accept credit cards. We rate the airport as good to be delayed in. It's large and air-conditioned with plenty of seats. Well, that's our quick view of Central Florida. If you want to be reminded of what we've said, we're happy to let you have a copy of the complete script. It's £1.50 including postage. Send a cheque for £1.50 payable to the BBC. Our address is The Travel Show Guides, BBC North West, P.O. Box 27, Manchester M61SJ. And please mark the envelope Florida. That address is also in Radio Times and on CFAX page 287. And we'll also put in this US government leaflet explaining exactly who needs a visa. And that's the last of our guides for this series. We hope they've been some help to you in your holiday planning. We'll be back in the summer with another series of The Travel Show. Until then, from all of us, goodbye.
And on Thursday evening, BBC One begins Holiday 89 with Desmond Lynham and Greg and Kathy Taylor. The first programme includes reports from the Virgin Islands, Turkey and northern France. Holiday 89 at 8 o'clock this Thursday evening on BBC One.